Today we are going to see one more scenario and as the title says, deploy the Redis on Kubernetes, ConfigMap, volume and the resource management. So let's see the today's scenario in detail. Application deployment team observed some performance issue with one of the applications that is deployed in the Kubernetes cluster. After looking into number of factors, the team has suggested to use the some in-memory cache utility for the DB services. After number of discussion, they have decided to use the Redis. Initially, they would like to deploy the Redis on the Kubernetes cluster for testing. Later, they will be moved it to the production. Please find the below more detail about the task. Create a Redis deployment with the following parameter. Create a config map called the myRedis config having the max memory 2 MB in the Redis config. Name the deployment should be the Redis deployment and it should use Redis Alpine image and container name should be the Redis container and also make sure it has only one replica. The container should be request for one CPU and the mount to volume. An empty dir volume call the data at path Redis master this one. Second volume is the config map volume call the Redis config map at path Redis master. The container should be exposed on the port 6379. Finally, Redis deployment should be in up and running state. Okay, so in short, we are going to deploy the Redis applications for the cache purpose for the DB. So let's see the what is we are going to get at the last of this video. So first let's discuss so conclusion part. In this hands-on tutorial, you should learn how to deploy Redis on the Kubernetes cluster using best practice for the configuration and resource management. We shall walk through the creating the config map to set the Redis memory limit, deploying Redis with a specific CPU request and mounting volume for the data and configuration. This video is perfect for developer, DevOps, engineer and Kubernetes enthusiasts looking for the integrating Redis cache into their microservices. What we are going to learn, creating the Redis config map with custom memory setting, deploying the Redis using the Redis Alpine image, mounting volume mtdir for the data and config map for the configuration, setting CPU resource for the request, verifying Redis deployment status. So let's go through the our step what we are going to apply into the production. So let's first go to the YAML file. Here are how you can deploy the Redis on your Kubernetes cluster for testing based on the specification you provided. So let's first see the YAML file of the config map. API version of the config map is v1, kind is config map, metadata is name of the config map is the my Redis config, and in the data part of the config map Redis config we are going to give the max memory is the 2 MB as per our requirement. Now let's see the deployment of the Redis. API version of the deployment is fv1, kind of the deployment is deployment, metadata of deployment is name of the deployment is Redis deployment. In the specs part of the deployment, we are going to use the one replica of pod. Selector, we are going to match label app colon Redis. Template, we are going to use the metadata labels. We are going to use the app colon Redis. In the specs of the container, we have the container name is the Redis container. Image, we are going to use the Redis Alpine, and port of the container we are going to use the 6379, and the resource request we are going to use the CPU 1, and we are going to mount the two volume. First volume is the data, and data we are going to mount at this path. Second volume is the config map, and that volume mount is name is the Redis config. Mount path is this one, and sub path is the Redis config. Whatever we defined above, this one Redis config. Okay. Now the volume we have the data we are going to create the mtdir. Mtdir means it for temporary purpose until the bodies or container is running in a state. Then we have the second volume Redis config, and config map we have given my Redis config, whatever the config map we have created here, my Redis config. After that we are going to apply this one in the production by the help of kubectl apply hyphen f and YAML file name. Then you can see the config map is created, deployment is created. Same thing we can verify kubectl get all. You can see the pod is created. This is default service, and then deployment is created, and then replica set is created. You can see also the config map is my config Redis config is created. Once you can describe the pod just for double check. Then in the event part you can see the our successfully image created and our Redis container created. In the log of the our Redis also you can see everything is working fine, configuration loaded, everything's running fine. So let's see how we are going to apply this one in our production clusters. So let's first copy the YAML file. So we have copied the YAML file, and if you want to apply multiple YAML file at same time, at beginning of each YAML file give the triple dax. So this is our production cluster. Let's create one file vi pod.yml, press enter, go into insert mode, paste it whatever we have copied, then save it except colon wq, then apply it kubectl apply -f pod.yml. Then you can see the config map is created, deployment is created. Same thing we can verify by kubectl get all. So we can see our pod is created and it's running a state. Deployment is created and it one by one means one of the pod and both are one is running, and then we have replica set created. Similarly, let's verify the config map kubectl get cm. So we can see my Redis config is also created. Now let's see the now let's describe the our pod and see more message from the event. Kubectl describe pod and then pod name. So you can see the successfully assigned the our an image is also pulled and the container created successfully. We can check from the log also. Just remove the describe and pod, and in place of that just give logs. Then you can get the successfully deployment of everything. Means in the log everything looks fine. So in this way we can deploy the Redis application for the cache purpose, which will be help our DB application. Thank you. Happy learning. See you in the next video.